So the extraction shooter genre is really popping up, and I think that that's pretty amazing. But I don't think there are enough people that really understand why Escape from Tarkov is the de facto leader in this genre that they've pretty much created as far as anyone's concerned. Now, I admit that I haven't played all of the extraction shooter games, but I have played a good number of them, and I've seen at least gameplay of the rest. So I think I've got a pretty good understanding as to what makes this genre so appealing. The topic that I want to cover today is my personal favorite, so let's jump right into it. There's something oh so very satisfying about opening up a container, rummaging around inside, hoping to find some loot that you want, or maybe even something that you've never seen before. You just can't wait to see what's inside the goodie box. But there's a whole lot more to it than just putting a bunch of stuff inside of a box. And it's something that a lot of people don't really give a lot of thought to because, well, Tarkov is one of the first games to ever do this, and they just so happen to get it right on the first try. If the game's loot only consisted of weapons, weapon parts, and other equipment, then it would feel something more like Borderlands, and people would spend all of their time just trying to find the best loot, so that they could either use it or sell it. If the game's loot was only consumables, food, water, snacks, and things like that, then the game would feel more like you were going on a shopping spree, and less like you were a scavenger looking for different valuables and goodies. You need that perfect blend of weapons, weapon parts, gear, valuable items that are for money, miscellaneous goods that might be used for trading, upgrading your hideout, and things to help keep you alive, like medical supplies, painkillers, injectables, and food and water, snacks and goodies, things like that. Without that absolute perfect blend, you'll end up with a game that feels a little bit too much like Diablo or Borderlands, or a game that feels like you're on some sort of checklist fetch quest, and nobody wants that. It actually reminds me a fair bit of the Cycle Frontier, and the primary problem with that game. I mean, there were a lot of problems with that game, let's be honest, but the biggest problem for me was that it wasn't satisfying to loot. You'd start up a raid, you'd go out, and pretty much everything that you were finding was some sort of resource that didn't serve you any gameplay purpose. It was just because the game was telling you to go and get it, or that you might be able to use it for something important later. Well, without a detailed description of what that thing is, I'm not particularly tied to having it in my inventory, and it's not exciting to pick up. Now, I understand that none of this may seem like a big deal right now, but follow me. I'm getting to the good part. I promise. Now, when you load into a raid, you're usually pretty indifferent about the gear that you're with, because you understand that the nature of these games mean that you could lose your starting equipment. But the whole idea is that you're going into a raid with the intention of finding some loot, something of value, or to accomplish some sort of objective. Now, when we're talking about looting in these types of games, when you first start, you don't have anything. You're fresh. You're looking around, opening different containers, scanning surfaces, and things of that nature. But that indifferent feeling that you start with doesn't stay, and that's a very important part of the process. As you loot, you'll start to suddenly feel like more of a target. You'll be more nervous about who could be watching you, when the next time somebody will try to attack you, or when you'll have the opportunity to attack somebody else. Because all of a sudden you've got stuff to lose. You feel like a juicy piñata. the casual roaming, exploring, and looting experience all of a sudden turns into a very tense and frantic scramble to your extraction, hoping that nobody takes you out and all of your hard-earned loot goes to them instead of you. That nervousness can make you sloppy, paranoid, all sorts of other things. And that in turn can be exploited by other players, the AI, anything. This is what gives Tarkov's looting system so much nuance, and what so many other games lack. A variety of loot. Food. Water. Stuff for trading. Things for your hideout. And weapon parts. All of this together creates an experience that you really can't find in any other game right now. At least not yet. Some of my favorite raids in Escape from Tarkov have way more to do with loot and almost nothing to do with combat. That's right, you can have some very exciting and exhilarating fun in Escape from Tarkov without ever firing a single shot, or even seeing an enemy. And all of that comes down to loot. The primary reason why I think Tarkov has a leg above all of the competition. What do you think? Now, I said that there are no other games that do loot like Escape from Tarkov, but I could be wrong. It doesn't necessarily have to be an extraction shooter, but if you know of a game that has a very robust looting system like this game, I'd love to hear about it. Let me know down in the comments what you think, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in another video.